Hey everybody, welcome back to my vlog for today. Hope you're all doing well as usual. I have an article here that I wanted to read from. It's more about akathisia. I've been looking into it more, and the more I look into it, the more serious I realize that it is. And it kind of scares me a little bit because it can be permanent. So I found an article about it that I wanted to share with everyone. And I'm going to read a little bit from it now. First it says, Friday, September 20th was the first International Akathisia Awareness Day. And it goes on to say, akathisia is a side effect that can cause suicide. It is largely unknown even among doctors. After ruling out dates claimed by other illnesses, the organizers chose a date in September to raise awareness about the condition in order to connect the cause of drug-induced suicide with Suicide Prevention Month. So obviously it's pretty serious that, akathisia can cause suicide, which I think everyone should be aware of, especially if they're on a medication that can cause akathisia. Like me, I'm on Abilify, and the Abilify is giving me akathisia, and I still struggle with it every day. Especially sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night. It is one of the worst, irritating, annoying feelings you could get. It's extremely uncomfortable. It makes it difficult to get back to sleep or even to fall asleep in the first place. And, eventually I fall asleep, but there's times where I didn't know if I was going to get back to sleep for the rest of the night. It is overwhelmingly irritating. So it says September is Suicide Prevention Month, and while akathisia-induced deaths are not prompted by depression, if we are unequivocally committed to saving lives, we must increase public knowledge of akathisia, said Wendy Dolin, founder of the Medication-Induced Suicide Prevention and Education Foundation, in memory of Stewart Dolin, which organized the declaration. Then it says, akathisia is a derivative of the Greek words for inability to sit. It is rarely but deadly adverse drug effect associated with over 100 common medications in numerous classes, including antidepressants, malaria drugs, antipsychotics, smoking cessation drugs, acne medications, and anti-seizure drugs. The side effect noted in the medical literature for decades is believed to stem from a depletion of dopamine combined with an unintended or downstream effects of neurotransmitter systems associated with mood and memory. And it creates an internal restlessness and intense agitation, one that can materialize as sudden as a compulsion to move the legs or pace. I have a big issue with that. I know I've said it before, but I have an issue where I keep moving my legs. I have to keep crossing and uncrossing my legs and putting pressure on them just to make them feel like, not get rid of it, but ease the irritation of the akathisia. It's hard to explain. You just feel like you gotta keep moving, and if you don't, you can end up spazzing out, and the akathisia can really drive you nuts. So now the article goes on to say, people who experience akathisia report feelings of wanting to crawl out of their own skin, and sudden uncharacteristic thoughts of taking their own life simply to escape the torment. Because akathisia sometimes accompanies pills taken for depression, itself a risk for suicide. It likely often goes undiagnosed. Akathisia is believed by many clinicians to be the syndrome responsible for the black box warning of the risk of suicidal thinking and acts and several classes of medications. So, here's another. This is, Dolin founded the MISSD the MISSD in 2010 after her husband Stewart Dolin took his life by leaping in front of an elevated train in Chicago. He had begun experiencing sudden, intense feelings of sleeplessness and agitation shortly after becoming prescribed to a generic form of the medication Paxil for anxiety. Wendy Dolin sued the manufacturers, winning a verdict that was later overturned on appeal. In her trial, she introduced evidence showing that the early studies of the drugs artificially inflated the appearance of suicidality in persons on placebos, making the drug test appear safer in comparison. And then it goes on to quote, one of the things that came up in my trial was over 25 people over the age of 30 took their lives in the Paxil drug trials, says Dolin, and about 40 people became akathisic, and they never reported it. Dolin stresses that raising awareness of akathisia is not anti-medication. So, MISSD is not anti-drug or anti-doctors. What I think has happened is the pharmaceutical companies have never been willing to talk about akathisia because there's never a good result. They've mislabeled it many times. The drug companies haven't wanted to disclose akathisia, and I believe the doctors have been kind of in the dark in the same way as consumers are. End quote. Dolin says the signs are all there that the public and medical professionals are willing to learn more. In July, she was invited to speak about akathisia before the Royal College of Pharmacists. So, what I'm taking away from this is that I'm learning just how serious akathisia can be. I mean, I know already that it's serious, and I know I've done other videos on it, but I found this article intriguing, and I'm trying to do my part to raise awareness for akathisia. I didn't know anything about it until my psychiatrist told me, given my symptoms, I had no idea what was going on. I just felt super restless, and then she said it sounds like akathisia, because I told her it was like throughout my whole body, and I felt my skin was crawling, and I just felt the need to constantly move, not just my legs but my arms, and I pace a lot sometimes. I know I do that when I'm on the phone, but even when I'm not on the phone, sometimes I'll start pacing around my apartment. But it is a very serious thing, and when I saw that akathisia can lead to suicide, that really frightened me, because it makes me wonder how much worse can it get. Hopefully, by them taking me off the Abilify, slowly as it goes, hopefully the akathisia will subside. But I mean, this article is sad. It's very sad, because the husband of this wife, let me see what his name was again. Stewart Dolin Stewart Dolin committed suicide because of akathisia. Like I said in the article, he jumped in front of a train, which is horrible, and it's very tragic and sad, and it's scary that the akathisia can be that bad. He seemed to be. I found a different article too, but it was way too long for me to read about on my channel here, and it said he'd been living with it for, it was something like 4.5 years, and I've been living with it for over a year now, and I think that them taking me off the Abilify is what needs to be done to stop the akathisia. I don't know how long after I'm off the Abilify it'll take for it to subside, but I really hope it subsides quickly, because like I said, it can be really detrimental. The feel to need to constantly move, it's just exhausting, and it's really annoying, and it's, I can see why, I hate to say this, but I can see why he took his own life, because when you're experiencing akathisia, it's one of the worst feelings ever. And I'm not over dramatizing it. I'm dead serious. Like, if you guys could ever experience it just to see what I'm talking about, I mean, it's just, and it's relentless too. So hopefully something good comes out of this video. I'm trying to, like I said, do my part to raise awareness for akathisia. It's just something that needs to be dealt with, and especially if it's a side effect of a medication. I suggest that you speak to your doctor and talk about changing meds, just for the fact that once you get it, it can be permanent, and that's, again, to me, that's scary, because I couldn't imagine going too much longer with having akathisia, as bad as it gets sometimes. So this poor guy decided to take his own life because of it. That's just horrible. But I hope that this video was informational and educational. It's really to me, when I first found out about akathisia, obviously I'd never heard of it before, and now that more and more research I do about it, it seems to be not more common, but obviously it's going to be more apparent because I'm searching for it. But like, I didn't know the severities of it, at least to the fullest extent. There's other people out there who've also taken their own lives because of akathisia, and that's just sad. So I feel like it's really important to raise awareness for it, so we can help educate people and help these people who are experiencing akathisia get the help that they need to hopefully get rid of the akathisia. I saw some other stuff on Twitter that I might talk about in another vlog as far as akathisia goes. I don't want to keep making the same video over and over again, but I mean, this article I feel like is really important, and should be talked about, just because this may help other people with akathisia get the help that they need. So I think that's it for me for now. I'll put a link to the article in the description as usual. So I hope that you guys got something from this and really, really, really understand how bad akathisia is. I mean, it's such a problem that my first video I did on it has well over 600 views on it, and I was surprised about that, because like I said, when I learned about it, it seemed to be like kind of an obscure side effect. And one article I read about it says it's a rare side effect, but lucky me, I get the rare side effects. I've had other medications that I've been on that I've experienced the side effects which are rare, which has made it difficult for me to be on certain medications, and so it's just I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh my god, my mind just went blank. Anyways, the point is that I can't think. I seriously just lost my train of thought. But anyways, akathisia awareness needs to be made more apparent to the general public, and it needs to be talked about just like anything else related to mental health. And if you're on a medication, like I said, that's causing akathisia, like even I saw that this guy was on Paxil, and I remember a long time ago I was on Paxil, and it was a really bad experience. I didn't know what it was, but now looking back on what it was, I can confidently say I had akathisia back then too. When I was on Paxil, I was in my early 20s, and I remember I'd be at work and my legs would just be shaking like crazy. Like, I'd have to keep moving my legs, and it made me feel very, like, out of touch with things. Like, kind of, like I was disassociating a lot, and I felt the need to constantly be moving my legs. So the point I'm making is that it's not only the Abilify that can cause akathisia. There's other medications out there that can cause akathisia, and they mentioned that in the other article that I was reading from. And, that just makes it even scarier. Like, if akathisia is a side effect of any medication, to me, honestly, I would say pick a different medication, because you don't want to experience akathisia. It is by far the worst side effect I've experienced in ever since I started taking medications for my illness. I've had some other weird side effects happen, but this is definitely by far the worst one. So, like I said, just be aware of it. Help me spread awareness for it, especially on Twitter. Retweet my video, please, to raise awareness about akathisia. I think it's something that needs to be talked about more, just because of how serious it is. And I'm trying to do my part to raise awareness for it, and I'd appreciate it if you guys out there could help me get the word out, especially after reading this article about akathisia. There's tons of information out there about it. So I try to educate. I've been trying to educate myself more on it. And I keep hoping that as slow as a process as it is to come off of the Abilify, that I won't have to deal with the akathisia anymore. Excuse me. But for the sake of trying to help people, even save people's lives, to reach out, tell them to reach out and get help, and try to do something and prevent possible suicides from this. I mean, that's crazy. Which brings me to another point, is, be aware of people who are feeling suicidal. Like, there's telltale signs of people who are, having suicidal thoughts. With akathisia, it just seems like some people reach their breaking point, and unfortunately, they take their own lives. And when something like that, something that's that serious, it needs to be addressed immediately, and something needs to be done about this akathisia. So, anyhow, for the sake of time, I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. And like I said before, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys I can't talk today. I hope you guys got some new knowledge about some of one of the worst side effects you can get from taking meds, and help me spread the word about akathisia. I'd really appreciate it. So that's it for me from now, and I will see you guys in the next one.